The Atlanta Braves get a thrilling comeback win against the rival New York Mets in a first game of a 4-game set there in Queens. Max Fried is great again, and they get some clutch hitting by Travis Darno. We'll break down all the biggest moments from that game and set you up for Tuesday's doubleheader on today's episode of Lockedon Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, brought to you as part of the Locked On Sports Atlanta Network, where we talk about your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on Twitter at shortstopball and check out my bio there to see where I cover the game of baseball, including the Atlanta Braves in written form over at tomahawktake.com. Also, make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. And make sure that you subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Comment there in the comment section. I try to get back to everyone there and have some great conversations around the Atlanta Braves. And thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen each and every day. We post episodes daily, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and are free and available on all platforms. Today, we're going to talk about the Braves' big 5-2 win over the New York Mets on Monday, break down some of the biggest moments from that game, and then we'll turn our attention to Tuesday's doubleheader, which should be another great pitching performance, hopefully, by the Atlanta Braves with two of their best starters on the mound. But let's talk about this 5-2 win from the Mets. Braves fell behind 2-0 in this game and then scored 5 unanswered runs. But you got to start at the top with Max Fried. And I talked about this on the post-game show with Grant McCauley, also on the Locked On Braves podcast feed and over on Locked On Sports Atlanta on YouTube. If you're not already, make sure that you're checking out the postcast after every game with me and Grant. But as I mentioned in there, this game was a game it felt like the Braves had to win. And I know you can't say there's a must-win game in May, but when you consider the fact that the Braves pushed back Max Fried to start this game, and you lost that game on Sunday and lost that series to the Rangers, this was a game on Monday that almost felt like as much as a must-win game as could be at the beginning of May. Because, look, they pretty much, and I hate to say this, but they kind of sacrificed that game on Sunday against the Rangers. I mean, if Max Fried pitches in that game, I feel like the Braves win, and the Braves win that series. So by doing that, that made this game on Monday against the Mets just that much more important, and a game that the Braves absolutely had to have to at least gain some momentum going up against the Mets, who coming into Monday were already 6 games ahead of the Braves. And it paid off because Max Fried did not disappoint in this one. 6 innings, 4 hits, no walks, 2 earned runs, and 6 strikeouts. One of the runs he gave up, it was on a wild pitch. It was definitely a wild pitch, a ball that Max spiked in the dirt, but went right in between the arm of Travis Darno, a ball he probably should have blocked up. He'll tell you he probably should have blocked it, so that cost Fried a run right there. He also gave up a leadoff home run to Mark Canha in this game, so those were the 2 runs there, but really was just back to being Max Fried, and he's becoming that pitcher now that if you don't get to him early, and perhaps there's an inning or 2 here or there early that he struggles with. The first inning in this game, he had traffic on the bases but was able to get out of it. But if you don't get him early, you don't get him in one of those innings where maybe he loses it for just a second, then you're not going to get to him. Not the way that Max Fried is pitching right now. That curveball was absolutely amazing for him on Monday night. He threw it 20 times, got 9 swings on it. 5 of those were swings and misses, and 7 of those 20 were called strikes. I thought, it was by far the best night he's had with his curveball so far, and it's been good. But this was a night where he really relied on it in big spots, and it came through. And just, again, another master class game in creating weak contact, had an average exit velocity against of just 81.1 miles per hour. So not giving up a lot of hard contact in this game. And after the rough start to begin the season, he now has an ERA of 3 and a whip of 0.87 with 27 strikeouts and just 1 walk in 30 innings pitched. I would like to see him go a little bit further in this game, especially with the way 7th inning kind of played out. Hopefully we're getting to that point where Snitker feels more comfortable letting Fried go deeper into ball games. I understand you have, a really good bullpen that you want to lean on and maybe save some of those innings, but with the way Max is throwing lately and the way he was throwing on Monday night, I would have liked to seen him gone out there to get another inning. But I got to see Max going every 5th day. I mentioned this on Monday's podcast. For me, the 6-man rotation has to be done with. I need Max Fried pitching every 5th day right now with where the Braves are. And obviously getting off to a slow start. I need Max Fried pitching every 5th day. So hopefully we get that going forward. The other hero of the game on Monday was Travis d'Arnaud, and coming up big against his old team. 3 for 4 with 3 RBI, and the biggest at bat of the night came in the 6th inning. Had runners on first and second with 1 out, and then on an 0-2 pitch, he just kind of threw the bat at the ball and poked it into right field to tie the game. And this is where I tweeted out, for some of the new age people who just think strikeouts are fine, they're not fine. Put the ball in play. Travis did that. It wasn't a hard hit ball, but it got the job done and tied this game up. Had another hit later in the game to kind of break things open and put it away, and got some big insurance runs for the Braves. But Travis d'Arnaud is quietly having a really good year. I think he goes under the radar a little bit, but he's hitting .333 on the season and 63 at bats with 2 home runs and 11 runs batted in. He hasn't drawn a walk, which is crazy to think about, but he's putting the ball in play. He's racking up the hits, and that's certainly great to see. And I think, when you look at this lineup, and now with Acuna in there especially, you look at the top 5 and you got Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Ozuna, Albies. Those are the big names I think that a lot of people look at and opposing pitchers circle. Don't let these guys beat you. But then there's Travis d'Arnaud lurking right behind that group, and he's done a really great job of racking up the hits this season. Again, doesn't hit the ball hard, but he does get the barrel on the baseball a ton. He's in the 88th percentile in barrel percentage, but he's in the lower percentile in average exit velocity, but he doesn't swing and miss a lot. Again, puts the ball in play. Having him healthy is such a huge plus for this team, not just for the pitching staff or what he does calling a game, but his offense as well. He's never really had a problem there. His only problem has been staying healthy, and he looks healthy. He looks like the Travis d'Arnaud we saw in 2020. So glad to see that and hope that continues. And then I got to mention Austin Riley. And I got to admit, I might have been wrong. And I don't want to jump the gun here, but I said I think he'd still be an all-star level player this year, but I didn't think he would get any MVP votes. And the way he has played through the first, nearly month of a season, I might be wrong. And I hope I was wrong. I hope this is a guy who is perennially getting MVP votes, and he is tearing it up right now. He's the most consistent hitter in the Braves lineup. He had about maybe a week, after he started the season really hot. He kind of had about a week there where maybe he went cold. But for the most part, he has been the most consistent hitter for the Braves. He's not going into, very long stretches of slumps right now. And again, we're barely a week into the season, but just based on what you saw last year, where I thought he was the most consistent hitter for the Braves from beginning to end, he only had 1 month with an OPS under 800. And now we're already kind of seeing that this year. He's not going into excessive slumps. He's making adjustments, continuing to hit the ball. And he hit a ball last night, 418 feet for the Braves' first run of the game. And he had 3 hard hit balls in the game, had another single as well. He's slashing 284, 376, 602 with 6 home runs and 14 RBI to go along with 10 walks. So he is off to a really great start proving to me and everybody else that 2021 was not a fluke, that Austin Riley is here to stay, and that he's one of the best players in all of baseball. And then finally, the bullpen finished things off, but it came with a little bit of worry in the 7th inning in particular, as Tyler Matzek came in, retired the first 2 batters, but then struggled with command, walked a couple batters, hit a batter. And I talked about this, I believe, last week or maybe the week before, but Matzek's a little concerning to me right now. It's not that I don't think he'll figure it out and be better and get better, but he's a little concerning at the moment. His velocity is more 93 to 95 miles per hour, although we saw more 95 miles per hour on Monday. And he's been getting hit hard. He didn't get hit hard on Monday because, like I said, he was walking and hitting batters. But as Grant pointed out on the podcast, he had a similar stretch that he went through last year before he turned it on. Again, he's not as effective right now. And I think Brian Snitker and the Braves staff are noticing that as well, which is why you saw him come in the 7th inning against the bottom of the order, and they were saving Minter for the 8th inning in the top of the order. That kind of tells me that the confidence in Matzek right now is just not there. Again, I think he'll figure it out and get it together, but certainly that velocity drop, I think, is making a big difference in him getting hit harder. And obviously the command issues are kind of coming back as well. And that's not great to see, but hopefully Matzek figures it out. He's going to be a big part of that bullpen. But Matzek's troubles led to a big moment for Colin McHugh. And McHugh has come into a couple of big spots early in this year and not come through, but he comes in a bases loaded jam here and gets a huge strikeout of Mark Canha. And you saw the excitement from Collin McHugh in this one. He knows it was a big spot for him after failing in those spots a couple of times earlier this year. So that was huge for him and his confidence going forward. And then Minter, like I said, came in the 8th inning. He is the setup man right now, in my opinion. He is the second best reliever in the bullpen at the moment. Maybe Will Smith, you could put him in there as well. But again, I think with Matzek's velo down and his struggles right now, I don't think he's as dependable later in games as maybe he will be, hopefully later in the season when he gets things figured out. And then Jansen gave him a couple hard hit balls, but nothing too scary there with a three-run lead, and he shuts the door and gets the save. Next, there's a couple of big moments. One big moment in particular from Dansby Swanson in this game that I wanted to discuss. But before we do that, let me tell you about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NBA playoffs and the start of Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sport wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. So there's one moment in the game that I don't think got enough attention, or I think it did for Mets fans, but not for the reason I want to talk about. And we didn't discuss this on the postcast either, so I really wanted to bring it up here. But there was an at-bat in the 5th inning by Dansby Swanson that I think kind of turned things around in this game. Chris Bassett, the Mets starting pitcher, was cruising in this game until he gave up a walk to Dansby Swanson in the 5th. And this is a little bit of a controversial walk here. Bassett thought he had Dansby struck out a pitch at the knees, honestly, and it's a borderline pitch, but the umpire had just rung up Adam Duvall on that exact same pitch, and this time he called it a ball. Bassett was pretty much off the field before he realized that it wasn't a strike 3 call. And that seemed to distract him mentally. And I should also note, look, this umpire was not great in this game. He made several calls on Acuna on balls that were called strikes that weren't even close. And the first pitch of that Swanson at bat, he called a ball that was 2 to 3 inches off the plate, a strike. So look, in my mind, Dansby earned that walk, and just a great 3-2 take from him as well. A pitch just below the knees. So I thought it was a great at bat by Dansby. If you swing at that pitch, there's nothing you're going to do. You have to kind of just leave that up to the umpire. So I thought that was a good at bat by Dansby. And like I said, I think that messed with the focus of Chris Bassett. He was not the same after that. Next batter was Ronald Acuna Jr. He ran a pitch inside and hit him. And then even in the Olsen at bat, he got Olsen to pop up, but Olsen chased the pitch outside the zone. He's just not there right now. But he was all over the place in that at bat as well. Should have been a 3-1 count if Olsen takes that pitch against him. And then I think it carried over into the next inning. That 6th inning, you had Riley with a leadoff single. Ozuna got out, but then Ozzie singled, and that set up the Travis Darno at bat that we talked about earlier. So that Dansby Swanson at bat in the 5th, I think that deserves a lot more attention than maybe it's getting, at least for the right reasons for Braves side of things. I really think that set Chris Bassett off his game and led to the Braves breakout in the 6th inning. I mentioned Matt Olson, he's continuing to struggle. So is Marcell Ozuna. Neither got a hit on Monday night. Both did reach base and scored a run. Olson left 3 on base. Ozuna left 2. You can't really make the argument anymore that the bottom of the lineup's not doing a good job of feeding the top. Didn't necessarily happen on Monday, but for the past week or so, the bottom of the order has done a great job of feeding the top. It's just Olson struggling. Ozuna has been struggling. And I talked about Olson on Monday, kind of giving you the numbers on his recent slump. So I won't go too deep into him, but it just seems to me he's pressing, especially in big spots, trying to get that big hit that will not only get him out of this slump, but, lift his team, help them get going. I feel like he's putting a lot of that pressure on him instead of just sticking with the approach that we saw early in the season and taking your walks, especially with the way Austin Riley is hitting behind him. Just continue to take your walks and get on base. I think he's trying to do a little too much. He's trying to get those big hits, get that home run. He had that 3-0 count in Miami with runners on second and third, where I thought he was trying to do a little too much and then just rolled over a ball to first base and didn't get the runners in. It's a tough go for him right now, and he'll get it together. Like I said on Monday, I'm not worried about him at all, but I do feel like he's starting to press a little bit just to get out of this slump that he knows he's in. Ozuna has 9 hits and 3 walks in his last 13 games. His average has dropped from 318 on April 17th to 245 after Monday's game, and his on-base percentage is under 300 as well, so not getting on base because he's not drawing a ton of walks. Need these two to get going again, or you at least need one of them. You can't have both of them slumping in the middle of your lineup like they are right now. So hopefully at least one of them gets it figured out and gets rolling soon. And then lastly, I want to mention Ronald Acuna Jr. He's still not quite there yet. He's still working on his timing, getting things in order. Look, this is still spring training for him, and I'd rather him have spring training at bats here during the regular season than having them at Gwinnett or wherever else. So I'm certainly glad to have him back up. And you even saw him make a good catch running in on a ball on Monday night, which is huge, having that out in right field. But he did have a fly out, and I call it a fly out in quotes, on Monday night, as it was the hardest hit ball of the game at 109.4 miles per hour and at a launch angle of 25 degrees. This is a ball that is supposed to leave the ballpark. And I know it was a cold night in Queens and these baseballs just aren't traveling for whatever reason. Baseball Savant had this swing with an expected batting average of 1,000. Again, this is supposed to be a home run every time the ball is hit at this launch angle and that exit velocity. It is supposed to be a home run. And, credit, Brandon Nimmo made a great catch in center field, but this ball should have been 10 feet past that center field wall. So a great swing from Ronald. He didn't get his first home run of the year. I think he thought he got it, but welcome to the baseball in 2022, Ronald. So tough luck for him there, but hopefully that's a sign of the good things coming. I'm guessing he'll only play in one of the games on Tuesday. I figure it'll be the night game, as they don't really want him playing in day games after night games, but it's also a little bit later start. It's not, a noon start. But with the day game on Wednesday. We'll have to see how that plays out, but he's got to play in, 3 of these or 2 of these next 3 games. I don't see him sitting out Wednesday's game. So for me, I'd say he plays in the afternoon game on Tuesday and then plays in Wednesday as well. That'll give him enough time to kind of rest up for that one. But especially with the off day on Thursday, you just can't sit him in that Wednesday game. He's got to play in that one, and then he's got to play in one of the doubleheader games on Tuesday. All right, next we'll preview that doubleheader on Tuesday, give you the pitching matchups. Before we do that, let me tell you about Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing number of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts that you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer, and they have everything you need, from brake parts, tail lamps, and motor oil, and even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now, see all the parts available for your car or truck, and write Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box so they know that we sent you? Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. Got a doubleheader on Tuesday. First game starting at 4 o'clock Eastern. And we know Charlie Morton's going in the afternoon game and Kyle Wright in the night game. And I believe Carlos Carrasco and David Peterson will be the pitchers for the Mets. Not sure exactly what order they'll be slotted. But for Charlie Morton, look, we just need to start seeing him make improvements with command, obviously going deeper into games, being more the Charlie Morton that we're used to seeing. And I think it's just a slight mechanical issue and him, obviously shaking off some rust after a very serious injury. I think he'll get there, but we need to start seeing signs of that happening today, especially with a doubleheader. You're looking for your veteran to kind of eat some innings and save your bullpen in the first game of that doubleheader. So really looking for Charlie Morton to have a solid outing, go deep into this ball game. As far as Carlos Carrasco, if he's going in that first game or wherever he may go, it could be a chance for Matt Olson to get going, as he is 3 for 4 with 2 home runs against Carlos Carrasco in his career. Carrasco's last outing was not great. He gave up 7 earned runs on 8 hits and 2 walks over 3 2/3 innings. While the Mets pitching staff has been very good, Carrasco has probably been the worst of those. But again, he's still been, other than that last outing, very good as well. And then Kyle Wright, just keep doing what Kyle Wright's been doing. Throw strikes, work ahead. His last start, he had to battle a little bit more than we've seen in his first couple of starts. Hopefully the command comes a little easier to him on Tuesday, and we can see another solid performance from Kyle Wright. For David Peterson at the big league level, he's been really good this year. He's only allowed 1 earned run on 9 hits and 5 walks over 14 innings with 10 strikeouts. However, in his last start, which came at the Mets AAA affiliate in Syracuse, he gave up 7 earned runs on 9 hits and 1 walk over 4 2/3 innings with 5 strikeouts. So these are some pitchers that the Braves hitters should be able to put up some runs against. Of course, you never know with this Braves offense, what's going to show up, but the pitching matchups, I think, are very favorable for the Braves here to at least get a split in this doubleheader, setting themselves up for a series win on Wednesday. So hopefully that's what happens. Hopefully we get some good pitching performances out of Morton and Kyle Wright. Hopefully the offense is able to get to Carrasco and Peterson, as I think they should be able to, and the Braves can sweep this doubleheader and go ahead and secure a series win over the Mets. That'll do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at @LockedOn_Braves. You can follow me at Shortstop Ball. Also, make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast and subscribe to us on YouTube. And we will talk to you next time.